In the last few years, India has seen multiple young Indian entrepreneurs that have co founded billion dollar companies. When I say young Indian entrepreneurs with companies having billion dollar valuation, what are the names that pop up in your mind? आपके दिमाग में काफ़ी नाम आए होंगे जैसे रितेश अग्रवाल, रोमन सैनी, निखिल कामत, etc. But when I say young Indian female entrepreneur who has co-founded a billion dollar company, आपके दिमाग में शायद ही कोई नाम आया होगा. Because there aren't many. In fact, a recent study shows that India ranks one of the least in accommodating women entrepreneurs. So all that aside, today we're gonna have a look at one such bright Indian female entrepreneur who has been building a billion dollar empire silently. और सबसे सरप्राइजिंग बात यह है कि आप में से 95% लोगों ने उनका या उनकी कंपनी का नाम आज तक नहीं सुना होगा. So the person that I'm talking about is Ankiti Bose, a 29-year-old businesswoman who is the co-founder and CEO of Zilingo, which is a multinational startup in the e-commerce space. Let us now have a look at who she is, how she got started, and what can we learn from her story. Ankiti is 29 years old as of now and is featured in 30 under 30 Forbes list and many other similar lists. After graduating from St. Xavier's College in Mumbai, she joined a venture capital firm Sequoia as an investment analyst. Basically, her job at Sequoia was to analyze budding startups along with their investments. While analyzing the startups and working with Sequoia, she had always thought of starting her own company, and that is where the business seed was sown. How did she get the idea? It all started in 2014 with a holiday that Ankiti went to along with her friends in Bangkok. During the holiday, she visited a popular Bangkok market known as Chatu Chowk. At that time, this market had around 8,000 small shops and stores dealing with handmade as well as designer clothes and accessories. These shop owners were not very digitally connected and had no idea what e-commerce was. At that time, there were e-commerce giants like Amazon and Flipkart in India. However, there were no big names in the Southeast Asian market for the same. And this is how Ankiti discovered an untapped market with a billion dollar potential. After a few months, Ankiti met a then 24-year-old IIT Guwahati pass out Dhruv Kapoor, who was a software engineer by profession. They both were invited by their flatmates at a casual get-together for a beer, and this is where Ankiti proposed the idea to Dhruv. And that casual get-together in Bangalore gave birth to what would eventually become Zilingo. After a few months, Ankiti and Dhruv had left their jobs, put in their savings of $30,000 each, convinced a few of their trusted friends to work with them, and founded Zilingo. The initial days were not at all easy. While on the one hand, Dhruv was dealing with all the technical aspects of the business, on the other hand, Ankiti was busy in traveling across Southeast Asia and convincing the local retailers to get on the platform. Most retailers over there were not very familiar with e-commerce, which made it very difficult to explain these people how Zilingo would fill in the gaps and help the retailers with financing as well as exposure. In the initial days, Ankiti used to work for 16 to 18 hours a day establishing and expanding their business. As of now, Zilingo has its headquarters in Singapore, whereas the tech support is received from Bangalore, India. This company's primary target is Southeast Asian market, however they are aggressively moving towards expanding in USA. Coming on to the investments, Zilingo began with seed funding from Sequoia India and raised $8 million in Series A funding round in September 2016. The next year, it raised an additional $18 million in 2017 in a Series B round. In 2018, the company's revenue grew nearly 4 times, and this is when they raised $54 million in Series C round in 2018. Lastly, in 2019, the company raised $226 million in a Series D round from existing investors Sequoia India, Buddha Capital, and Temasek Holdings, which is Singapore's sovereign fund. In total, Zilingo has raised over $308 million from investors, making it one of Southeast Asia's highest capitalized startups. At present, Zilingo is valued at over $1 billion, achieving a unicorn status. So what exactly can we learn from this? There are basically two important aspects of a business. First is the idea or the product, and the second is the market. We often focus upon finding a unique and exceptionally great idea. But in this internet age, no matter what idea you think of, there are very high chances that somebody has already made a company upon that. This is where the second aspect comes into play. If you're unable to find a great idea, find an idea or a product or a service that is already successful and is in the trend. And then find a market which is untapped. An untapped market is a market when there is a demand for a product or a service that isn't being supplied by any company yet at that particular place. And this is what exactly Zilingo did. Starting up in e-commerce wasn't a very unique idea in 2015, but starting one in an untapped market like Southeast Asia is what played the major role in its success. So this is it for today. If you liked it, please like, share and subscribe and stay tuned for the next video. Peace.